Let me tell you something very important. In my life, I have always searched for the top level. I have looked for the absolute perfection in everything I do because I do not accept the second place. When I look at the world, I look for the truth that is undeniable, the truth that has the most discipline and the most power. Many people, they talk, they have opinions, but I look at the results, I look at the facts. And I am telling you, when you find something that is so perfect, so logical and so strong, you are not just choosing it. You are being forced by the sheer power of the reality to accept it. You cannot turn your back on the goal when the path is clear. For me, it is about the obsession with what is right. I have seen the heights of success, but I have also seen the emptiness of things that have no foundation. I needed a foundation that was unbreakable, something that survives every test, every challenge, and every season. I am talking about a conviction that hits you with more force than any strike I have ever made. It is a logic that makes sense in the mind and a peace that makes sense in the heart. When these two things come together at the top level, you have no choice but to say yes. Today, I want to share with you the 5 things that changed everything for me. These are not just ideas, they are forces of nature. They are the reasons why I had to stop and realize that there is only one way that is truly the best. I am not here to play games or to waste time. I am here to show you why the truth of Islam became an undeniable reality in my life. It is about the discipline, the history, the logic, and the soul. When you see the truth standing there, waiting for you, you do not walk, you run toward it. You accept it because it is the only way to be a true champion of your own life. Listen to me very closely because I am going to tell you about the highest level of thinking that a human being can ever achieve. In my life, I have always been obsessed with one thing, and that is being the best. I do not look for the second place, and I do not look for excuses. I look for the truth because the truth is what gives you the power to perform at the top. When you look at the world, you see a lot of people who are lost. A lot of people who are confused because they are following 1,000 different ideas and 1,000 different masters. But I am telling you, if you want to be a champion in this life and the next, you need to understand the power of the number 1. I am talking about the intellectual magnetism of absolute monotheism, what is known as Tawheed. This is not just a religious concept for people to talk about in a quiet room. This is a force of nature that hits you with more impact than any goal ever scored in the history of the game. Think about the logic of it. I want you to use your brain. I want you to be smart. Look at the universe. Look at the way the stars move, the way the sun rises with such perfect timing every single day, and the way your own body functions with a discipline that is unbelievable. Do you really think this is a mistake? Do you think this is a team with 10 different captains all trying to call the plays at the same time? No. If you have 2 captains on the pitch, you have chaos. If you have 2 kings in one country, you have war. The universe is a perfect system, a masterpiece of engineering, and that means it has one designer, one creator, and one boss. This is the logic of Tawheed. It is so clean, so pure, and so professional. It removes all the mess and all the confusion of the world. It tells you that there is only one power you need to answer to, and that is the one who made you. Believe me, when you realize this, it is like a weight is lifted off your shoulders. You don't have to please this person or that person. You don't have to worry about what the media says or what the critics say. You only care about the one. This is the ultimate discipline. People ask me how I stay so focused. It is because I have a target, and in the life of a person who understands Tawheed, the target is clear. You are connected directly to the source of all power. There are no middlemen, there are no statues, there are no saints or intermediaries standing between you and your Creator. It is a direct line. Can you imagine the confidence that gives you? When you go out there to face your challenges, when you face the pressure and the noise, you know that you are working for the highest power. This is why it is a magnet for the mind. The human intellect loves order. The human intellect loves perfection, and there is nothing more perfect than the oneness of God. It is a mathematical reality that rings true in every cell of your body. When you accept this, your mind finally stops racing. It stops looking for answers in the wrong places because it has found the ultimate answer. I have seen everything this world has to offer. I have seen the fame, the wealth, and the success. But all of these things are temporary. They are like a match that eventually ends, but the truth of Tawheed is eternal. It is the only thing that is 100% solid. It is a rock that you can build your entire life upon. When I see people struggling with their identity, trying to find who they are in the clothes they wear or the cars they drive, I feel for them because they are looking for a foundation in things that break. But when you have the logic of the One, you have a foundation that is unbreakable. It forces you to respect yourself because you realize you were created by the greatest to serve the greatest. You are not a random accident of biology. You are a deliberate creation with a purpose that is higher than any trophy. Listen, I am a man of facts. I like results, and the results of believing in one God are a clear mind, a strong heart, and a life of absolute purpose. It is the most inspiring thing in the world to know that you are never alone. No matter where you are, whether you are at the top of the mountain or in the middle of a struggle, the One who created you is closer to you than your own jugular vein. This is not a fairy tale. This is a reality that you can feel in your chest. It is a magnetism that pulls you toward the truth. You try to run away, you try to look at other philosophies, but your mind keeps coming back to the simple fact that it all started with one, and it will all end with one. This is the top level of spirituality. It is for people who are not afraid of the truth. It is for people who want the best for themselves. Polytheism and atheism, they are like playing a game with no rules and no goalposts. You just run around until you are tired, but Islam gives you the rules, the goal, and the ultimate reward. It tells you exactly who the boss is, and when you know who the boss is, you can finally start playing the game correctly. You start to have a discipline that is not just physical, but mental and spiritual. You start to see the signs of the Creator in everything. You see it in the rain that brings the earth back to life. You see it in the complexity of the human eye. You see it in the way the mountains stand firm. All of these things are shouting one name. They are all pointing to one reality. I tell you, there is a beauty in this simplicity that is unmatched. People try to make religion complicated because they want to control you. They want to put themselves between you and God. But Islam says no. It says you stand up, you look at the sky, and you realize that the One who made that sky is the only one worthy of your worship. That is a very powerful thing. It is a very liberating thing. It frees you from the slavery of the creation and brings you to the service of the Creator. This is why I say it is a force that you have to accept. Once the light of this logic enters your mind, you cannot pretend it is dark anymore. You cannot go back to the confusion of thinking that multiple powers are running the show. You see the unity in everything. You see the harmony. This magnetism is what builds civilizations. It is what turned a group of people in the desert into the leaders of the world, because they had one focus, they had one goal. They were not divided by 1,000 different idols. They were united by the One, and when you have that kind of unity in your heart, you are unstoppable. You become a champion of your own soul. You walk with a dignity that no one can take away from you. People can take your money, they can take your fame, but they can never take your Tawheed. It is yours. It is the secret to your strength. It is the reason why you can face any opponent and any challenge with a smile on your face, because you know that everything is in the hands of the One. So I am asking you to be honest with yourself. Look at the facts, look at the logic, look at the perfection of the message. It is the highest level of truth available to humanity. It is the only thing that makes sense in a world that is losing its mind. It is a call to return to your natural state, to return to the source of your existence. It is the magnetism of the truth that is calling you home, asking you to leave the noise behind and embrace the silence of the one who knows everything you do and everything you feel and everything you are meant to be in this world and the next world, because the game of life is short, but the reality of the Creator is forever. And when you finally submit to that one singular truth, you realize that you have not lost anything, but you have gained everything that matters, which is the ultimate victory and the ultimate success that no human being can ever deny once they have felt the power of the truth hitting their heart like a perfect strike that changes the scoreboard of their life forever and ever, as you move toward the goal with the focus of a true champion who knows that there is only one way to win, and that way is through the absolute and uncompromising belief in the one and only Creator of all things that exist and all things that are yet to come in this magnificent design of the universe that is controlled by the only one who has the power to give and the power to take away everything that you think you own, but in reality you are just a guest in his kingdom trying to find your way back to the start, where it all began with the word of the one who spoke, and everything came into being out of nothingness, just to show you his greatness and his mercy and his absolute power over every single atom in your body and every single star in the galaxy, which are all performing their duty with a perfection that should make you realize that you also have a duty to recognize the truth of the one God who is the first and the last and the only one who can truly satisfy the hunger of your soul for meaning and for peace and for the ultimate championship of the spirit that is available to anyone who is brave enough to accept the logic and the force of the truth that is standing right in front of you, waiting for you to take the shot and score the goal of your life by acknowledging that there is no God but the one. Now I want you to look at the second force, because this is where the truth becomes undeniable even for the most skeptical mind, who thinks they have seen everything there is to see in this world. I am a man who respects the facts, and I am a man who respects the records, because the numbers do not lie, and the statistics tell you exactly who is at the top level, and who is just playing for second place. When you look at the Book of Islam, you are not just looking at a piece of literature, or a collection of old stories. You are looking at an infallible mirror that reflects the reality of the universe with a precision that is absolutely frightening if you are not prepared for the truth. For me to accept something, it must be perfect, and it must be consistent, because I do not like mistakes, and I do not like excuses when it comes to the ultimate reality of our existence. Think about the preservation of this message first, because consistency is the hallmark of a true champion. And if you cannot maintain your form over a long period of time, then you are not elite. We are talking about a book that has been protected for over 1,400 years without a single letter being changed or a single word being misplaced, which is a record that no other book in the history of humanity can even dream of touching. Imagine the discipline and the power required to keep a message linguistically frozen in its original form, while civilizations rise and fall, and while languages evolve and die out around it. This is not human work. This is the work of the one who controls time itself, and it forces you to realize that you are dealing with something that is on a different level entirely. But then you look into the mirror of the text, and you see the scientific accuracy that hits you with the force of a perfectly timed strike, that leaves the goalkeeper with no chance to react. I have always been obsessed with the way the body works, and the way the universe is designed, because you cannot reach the peak of performance without understanding the mechanics of the game. When I read about the way the Quran describes the development of the human embryo in the darkness of the womb, using words that describe it as a clinging substance or a chewed piece of flesh, I realize that this is exactly what modern science sees with the most advanced technology we have today. How can a man in the desert 14 centuries ago know the details of embryology that were only discovered recently by people using microscopes and cameras? It is impossible unless he was being coached by the one who actually designed the human body. This is what I mean by the top level. There is no guesswork here. There are only facts. You see the descriptions of the mountains being like pegs that stabilize the earth, and you see the mention of the two seas that meet, but do not mix their waters because of a barrier that is invisible to the naked eye. These are signs for people who use their brains and for people who are not afraid to admit when they have found the truth. Getty Images, I look at the expansion of the universe, which is something that the greatest astrophysicists are talking about right now as if it is a new discovery, but it was already written in the text that the heavens were built with power and are being expanded by the Creator. This is the kind of precision that makes you stand up and applaud, because it is so beautiful and so clean in its execution. When you see the mirror reflecting the truth of the stars, and the truth of the deep oceans, and the truth of the clouds that carry the weight of the rain, you realize that the Koran is not just a book of religion, but it is a manual for the entire creation. It is an infallible mirror because every time science makes a new jump forward, it simply finds that the Koran was already there waiting for it at the finish line. This is why it is so compelling for me, because I do not follow anyone who is behind the curve. I follow the one who sets the pace, and the one who is always ahead of the game. The preservation of the text and the accuracy of its contents work together like a perfect team to prove that this is a divine revelation that cannot be ignored by anyone who wants to be a champion of their own life. If the message was changed, or if the science was wrong even once, then the whole system would collapse, but it stays strong, and it stays perfect because it is protected by the highest authority. I have spent my whole life training my body and my mind to be sharp, so that I can see the opportunities when they arrive, and when I see the opportunity to hold onto a truth that is this solid, I take it with both hands. It gives you a sense of security and a sense of pride to know that you are following a path that is backed by the laws of physics and the laws of biology. You are not just guessing or hoping that you are right. You are standing on a foundation that is 100% verified by the reality of the world around you. When people try to argue against this, they usually bring up opinions or emotions, but I bring up the facts and the records because that is how you win the debate. You cannot argue with the expansion of the universe, and you cannot argue with the linguistic miracle of a book that has been memorized by millions of people cover to cover in its original language. Can you imagine the level of dedication it takes for millions of people across every continent and every century to carry the exact same words in their hearts without a single variation? That is the ultimate team effort, and it shows you the power of the message to unite the human spirit under one truth. This is why I say it is a force that makes you accept it, because once you see the evidence you cannot unsee it, and you cannot pretend that it does not exist. It is like being in a stadium with 100,000 people watching you, and the lights are shining bright, and you know exactly what you have to do to win the match. The Koran is the infallible mirror that shows you who you are and where you come from, and what the universe really looks like when you take away the distractions and the noise of the modern world. It is a mirror that never breaks and never gets cloudy, because it is made of the truth that is eternal. I find so much inspiration in this because it reminds me that excellence is not an accident, but it is a result of divine design and perfect execution. Every verse is like a goal that changes the game, and every chapter is like a trophy that proves the greatness of the source. If you want to be at the top level, then you have to align yourself with the truth that is at the top level, and there is nothing higher than the word of the one who created the heavens and the earth, and everything in between with such perfect balance and such perfect timing. You see the cycle of the water and the way the winds are sent as heralds of mercy, and you see the way the night and the day follow each other in a race that never ends, and you realize that you are part of a massive and beautiful plan that is being managed by the greatest manager of all time. This realization gives you a discipline that is not forced from the outside, but it grows from the inside because you want to be worthy of the one who gave you everything. You start to look at your life through this mirror, and you see the areas where you need to improve, and the areas where you need to be more consistent, because a true professional is always looking for the next level of growth, and the next level of perfection in everything they do and say and think, as they move through this world toward the ultimate goal that is waiting for them at the end of the journey, which is why the mirror of the truth is the most valuable thing you can ever possess in your life, because it never lies to you, and it never lets you down when the pressure is on, and the world is watching to see how you will respond to the challenge of the truth that is being presented to you right now in this very moment of your existence as you breathe the air that was created for you by the one who wrote the book that contains no doubt and no error and no weakness whatsoever in its entire structure from the first page to the last page, which is why you must open your eyes and see the reflection of the reality that is calling you to stand up and be counted among those who recognize the greatness of the design and the perfection of the designer who has left nothing out of the record and who has given you every sign. You need to find your way back to the top, where you belong as a servant of the one true King of the universe, who is always watching and always helping those who strive for the excellence of the truth in every single breath they take. So now you have the facts, and you have the evidence standing right in front of you like a massive mountain that cannot be moved. I am not here to tell you what to think, but I am here to tell you that at the top level of this life, there is only one reality that makes sense. You have seen the logic of the one, the perfection of the science, the justice of the system, the character of the messenger, and the calling of your own soul. These are not just points on a list, they are the championship rings of the truth. When you stand on the pitch of your own life and the clock is ticking, you do not look for excuses, you look for the goal. Islam is the ultimate goal. It is the only way to live with 100% purpose and 100% peace. I have seen everything this world has to offer, but I am telling you, nothing compares to the power of submitting to the one who created the world. It is the most professional decision you will ever make. It is the win that lasts forever. Don't wait for the final whistle to realize you were on the wrong side. Take the shot, be a champion of your soul. Accept the truth, because it is the only way to truly be free and truly be the best version of yourself for all of eternity.